You already know what time it is. Trans understanding. Being the trans attracted versus being a chaser. Now, where I grew up, everyone is always happy from the country. So a lot of people are nosy. I'm gonna take it as it is, but we always looked out for each other. Always greeted our neighbors with a hello or good morning, even when you pass on the streets in cars. So it boggled me. And like I said, that's why I made this show so people can get understanding of everyone that's around the world and countries, cities, and everywhere else. It bothered me when I went to a space where it was filled of all the individuals just like me. And I greeted them. And I said my hellos and I gave my hugs to individuals I have been talking to online and never seen face to face. Excited. That's how I was. Getting to know everybody, giving compliments. And I guess that's what got me in trouble. Because it was a shot that I heard going around about me that I was something that kind of confused me. A tranny chaser. Kind of hurt a little bit because I thought a tranny chaser consists of someone who's running around engaging in sexual activities with everyone he sees. But me, it wasn't the case. If anything, I just wanted to take a picture with anyone or everyone at that. And the one person that I found highly attractive that was there and had the opportunity to probably be with, I declined. Only because she was my dream girl. And to be honest, I didn't want to be upset or I didn't want to wake up from the fantasy of her being that. But as we wait for my co-host to arrive, I know it's a lot of people who have a lot they want to say. Hey, Miss Flame Monroe, I see you. So if anyone would like to come on before the show begins to explain what's the difference between being trans attracted and being a chaser. And just like always, you know me. If no one pushes that invite button to come on, because I know it's hard, I like to randomly pick. And let's begin with you. Let me see if she would come up. Letting the room fill up for a minute. Everyone, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful co-star, Milan. There
What is it, Brody?
What's up? Let's,
I'm good.
I have
I'm
to
good.
explain a little bit on what happened to me at BTEC. So,
Oh, what happened at VTech? I missed it. I just jumped in. I had to wrap up something, but I'm just jumped in. So could you do me a little recap? What happened at VTech?
I got called the chaser up there. So,
See, the word chaser is thrown around real loosely in our community.
Hmm.
You know, I would never take you as a chaser. I do know you have a preference.
Yes.
And so you prefer to date trans women. And as a single guy who pursues trans women in hopes to establish a relationship with them, it's a different mentality than a chaser.
Hmm.
You know, a chaser is only objectifying our body or bodies,
Hmm.
but of course we grown and we all have sex or whatever the case may be. And as long as it's essential, it's nobody's fucking business. But at the same time, I know that you pursue certain girls to get to know them in hopes to establishing a relationship. And of course, we talk about it, right? And I know, like, some of them are definitely a flop, but we talk. We talk, and I'm not going to ever steer you in the wrong direction. I'm not going to never tell you anything that's out of line or just misguiding or misleading.
Hmm.
So the reality is, the word chaser is really thrown around loosely within our community. But we can also be honest and stuff and talk about like trans people can be chasers as well.
Yeah.
Trans people can be tranny chasers.
Hmm. That's right.
And so we see it often. We see it a lot. Especially, I call it like the Hunger Games. It's giving Hunger Games seeds. I volunteer for tribute, Captain. It's giving very much me, pick me.
Yeah.
And so I'm very interested in this conversation and in this dialogue because I would love to hear, in other people's point of view or perspective, what is a chaser to them? How do they, recognize or deem who's a chaser? And yeah, so
Well,
hi,
I know
Jen.
Hey, hey, what's up, y'all?
Mr. Leah and Alan started this conversation off uh, last week. So I'm
Yes.
going to let them finish it whenever they decide to come on. Uh,
Okay.
but for now,
Yeah.
we're going to talk to the audience and find out to them the difference between being trans attracted and being a chaser. So, Jen, what are your inputs on it?
Um, my inputs are pretty much based off our experience. Like at the end of the day, we know when someone has ill intentions the majority of the time, not all the time, but the majority of the time. And mix that with the fact of what people say and what they do, it translates to what their intentions are. Um, I was incarcerated for so long that I knew the difference between someone who was attracted and a pure chaser. To me, a chaser is someone who fetishizes, who objectifies trans people and only want them for the physical. And as long as they see that, they want that.
Mm.
They'll stack up the amount of people in their personal roster and allow that to be kind of their motivation. A majority of them are relatively closeted, betrayed, as we say, and they just are someone that we know in our hearts that, okay, we know what it is with you. Whereas trans attracted is someone who, in my personal opinion, is open with theirs. And they don't have to be so wide open that they announce it to the world, but won't have any qualms of being with us in public and would be willing to defend us with against family, friends, strangers, whomever. Pretty much. And then you have your neutral people. They see you as who you are and they just like being around you. But as chasers and trans attracted go, I would say mostly it would deal like with just intent. I've always said intent is everything. You know that the majority of people who want to have any type of relations with you, there comes a form of maybe sometimes an agreement or secrecy. And for those of us who have been in some form of sex work, then we know that at the end of the day, we know how to separate. Whereas most people don't know how to separate, that they're coming in as someone who's trying to let out all of those emotions and feelings and just arousals. So then, as we should know, there's always going to be those people who stick around, and then that often comes into a territory that we like to call stalking.
Mm.
It happens many a times, and there's no escaping it when you're incarcerated. I've had people literally try to get in the cell with me because they want to be around me for whatever reason. And at the same time, I also know that their intent isn't good, because you can be a chaser, but don't mean you're a bandit. And believe you me, you have a ton of bandits. There are a ton of bandits looking for that trophy, and then the next one and the next one. So my personal experience has always come from, at times, more of a bubble, if you will, due to the fact that my incarceration was almost 2 decades long. But at the same time, since being home since 22, I can honestly say that there will always be someone when I'm at work floating around, always cutting their eye, hoping to lock eyes. There's also social media. You're always going to have someone popping up some way, somehow, and you don't know if it's a foo-foo page or you're not, or when you go on the page, you see them with a full family. It happens. It just is what it is. There are a lot more people who are more versed in this than I am, due to the fact that my experience is totally different than the next person's. I know how I react to chasers. I know how I react to trade. I'm about openness. Anything that I deal with and anyone I deal with, due to the fact that I'm an openly pansexual trans woman, I want all there to be out there. Now, I know how to be discreet. Don't get me wrong. Discreet and secretive are two different things. You can be in a a hetero cis relationship and be discreet, but when you're secretive, that's different. Secretive is you're not trying to have others even know that you have something, whereas discreet is people know you're with somebody, they're just not sure who it is. Minuscule little things, but that's all I have to really say.
Do we have another guest?
Hey, how you
And
doing?
I appreciate you bringing in, like, stating, like, you may hear throughout this live certain terminology like trans attracted and, chasers. And understand that chasers are trans attracted, right? Like, they are trans attracted. The thing about chasers, and, and that's why I tell people all the time, we have to understand the difference between when we can recognize a chaser and someone who just have a preference, right?
Absolutely.
And oftentimes we come across a lot of guys where we have certain other things we call them, whether it's a community piece or a little fun piece, and these are things that we know that these are guys within our community that runs mostly in certain circles of trans women. And I'm sure even maybe the guys have their own experience of their community pieces. But it's mostly guys who are passed around amongst trans women in the community. Like, if I know a boy that I know is just for example, I had a guy in Philadelphia who will always approach me and make sexual advances, but will also want to be like, you have any friends that I can, wooty woo, this, that, and the third, right?
Yes.
And so I don't even mind you and your friend, doing woo 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 and X, Y, and Z. So it's a guy that's very sexually, what I wouldn't say fluid, but is don't mind doing
Adventurous.
sexually adventurous.
Yes.
And we know we can pass them around the community, right? And we understand that for most girls, we always say that's a community piece. If you're gonna deal with it, have fun with it, but don't get no feelings for it. And so some girls
Absolutely.
get feelings for the community pieces, and some girls fall in love with the community trade, and then they find themselves in all type of situations, that could have been avoided if you would have just stuck to the rule and understood that this belongs to everyone.
Right, Jen, I'm gonna drop you down for a minute. I'm gonna bring you back.
All right.
And
Hey, Morris.
What's up, family? Listen, first of all, thank y'all for having me in this space. Not being a trans experience, I kind of an honor to be here with y'all. I come on to support because that's what family does, right? But I love what we're talking about already. I'm just gonna jump in because I hear we're talking about chasers and attraction, right? So for the last 2 weeks, I've been in Atlanta. I've been home in Atlanta, and I downloaded the apps because that's what I do, right? And looking at the apps, I'm just checking out my new environment. I'm checking out and see what Atlanta's giving now, right? Because I've been in New Orleans now for a year and a half. Things in Atlanta change like your underwear should change, and I say should because everybody don't change their underwear if they wear them. Nonetheless, right? So I'm looking at the new little boys, and I'm looking at the new little girls, and I'm looking at, and specifically, I'm looking at what I know what butch queens like, because I'm looking at what's cute. I'm 47, right? And I'm thinking at 47, the little boys are gonna be into me. Ironically, they are. But ironically, at the same time, what our younger generation is in is they're more fluid. Sensitive the word fluid, fluid, and that comes with a lot of meanings, right? It also shows me that they also receive love that we didn't know how to express in some earlier days, right? I want to pay attention to the ones who are community pieces versus chasers, right? As a person who's living with HIV, I remember when I first was diagnosed, and I finally said, you know what? Let me test and see if I still got it. If I got what it takes to get somebody, right? Now, when I tried to go on this date, I wanted it to really be a date. Oh, boy was like, so yeah, you ready to go upstairs? I was like, so now I'm HIV positive. He said, oh, good, because I'm this, and this. I was like, wait a minute. I was telling you this so that you could be disgusted. I was actually telling him that because I wasn't ready to smash. I wasn't ready to swap DNAs. I wasn't even ready to really see his private parts, right? But as I began to live and the urge for sex continued, again, I ain't even gonna lie and say I like use of protection when I'm having sex, right? Because as far as I was concerned, now that I got HIV, what could be worse? Right? But they were chasers. Real life. I had this dude from New York. Nigga wanted to fly me up just so we could have unprotected sex, and he wanted me to climax inside of him. I never. So I was like, you want this? He's like, yeah, because I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to get onto this study, and I can't get on it if you.
wow.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm all for slinging ding-a-ling. I'm with it. I ain't even shy with it. I'm even good for giving you some butt if you want it and it's right. Right? And as I said before, I'm going to be 100 with y'all. I was telling my Lyft driver this as I tell people, why did you move to New Orleans? Because I want to make sure that people know the real deal about HIV, how it gets transmitted, how it doesn't. I'm undetectable. So I can't give it to you even if we both tried. I don't care how much you swallow on the front part or the in-between part. You just ain't going to get it from me because I'm doing what it takes. The medicines work. Right? But I would never want anybody to have to go through what I went through the first year that I had HIV. Having to take 23 pills. Having to get fed through a tube because I waited so late to get diagnosed that I had cryptosporidia, which ate me because I didn't eat any more food. I went with that shit on nobody. And why do you think that resources are there for HIV? Baby, let me tell y'all. You're chasing something that is quickly running out of money or they're putting money elsewhere, right? So if you're talking about being chased to something as opposed to being attracted to something, please watch your lives, right? Right? Watch your lives, right? And then there are people who ain't even like me, who are going to be honest, who won't be like the people who are on this live right here, will be honest and say, I am of trans experience, right? And so when you don't tell the truth will tell itself. I always say this, the truth don't change because you don't say it. And I just wanted to say that I like to follow and see what the conversations are given, how it flows. So I know you got more people to bring up, but I just wanted to chime in.
No, thank you, Morris. Thank you for that, because what you brought to, and while we're talking about chasers,
Yeah.
there are people, well, we know the terminology to be the bug chasers,
Yeah.
right? And so there are people like, and that's the thing, you know, there are folks who pursue us for many different reasons.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you bringing that even to this forefront of the conversation, because the reality is, you know, like you said, everyone is not going to be upfront about their HIV status to you. Everybody's not going to give you that option,
Yeah.
right, to choose.
Yeah.
And so you just need to be careful of who you're dealing with. And a lot of times, you know, especially here in Louisiana, you know, HIV and syphilis is neck and neck with each other.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. In fact, the only reason I found out about my HIV is because when I finally decided to go to the doctor, right? And I'm gonna do a plug up that say this. They died, and they said you got syphilis. I went crazy over that. The doctor was like, "Baby, I ain't even worried about that for you." She says, "Have you been tested for HIV?" Right? Let me say this. I always tell people I'm from Atlanta and I love the Falcons, but I'm living in Saints land. And the only thing I want New Orleans and Atlanta to be competitive about is football. I don't want us to be competitive about syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, which we are all in the top 5 right now. Right? Baton Rouge, Louisiana is the only state that has Baton Rouge and New Orleans, 2 cities in the top 5. I moved from number 3 to number 4, and number 4 is here, and number 5 is Baton Rouge right now. I work for the Department of Health, so I get this information fresh, and I chose to work for the Department of Health so I can fight from the inside, but so that the outside know what's going on as well, right? If we don't know, we won't respond, right? And so I got to be the oracle. I got to be the oracle with the new hair I just bought and some cute glasses, right? So it's very imperative. Listen, I'm all for us being nasty and banging pocketbooks, booties, and dinglings. I'm with it all. But I also put with us doing it to be in the know, right? Maybe you don't mind a syphilis shot, but that shit hurt to me. A syphilis shot hurt more than a dick going in my ass. And I want to be very, very clear. I've had a couple of dicks in my ass, right? Listen, like, I'm going to be 100, because if don't nobody bring it like this, but whoever watches this post, and I don't know if I trust people watching, God forgive them, because I'm not going to change my message. But for somebody who may not understand when I put it so eloquently, if I put it like this, you'll understand it. It's okay to want one thing and not get the other with it, right? It's okay to not even have insurance, because it waits for you to get insurance. And if you live in Louisiana, baby, you got Medicaid expansion, which many states wish they could have in the South. But you got to take advantage of the resources.
And that goes back into the conversation, and you know, because as trans, for me as a trans woman, and a lot of girls that we talk to kind of have this, you know, parallel, similar experience when it comes down to dating. And I always tell folks, dating as trans is very complicated. It can be very complicated. It can be tricky. And the reality as a trans woman, you know, when I dealt, especially like with cis men, and I was fortunate. Anybody can tell you that knows me and have known my relationships. I have been fortunate to have found men who is open and willing to walk in the broad daylight with me, who takes me around to their families. I have met their family. It was like, I have been fortunate to have that. But on the flip side, you know, outside of those relationships, when I was doing sex work or just dealing with guys, right, on my own terms and time, especially when we download these apps, right? So when you download Grindr, you know, everyone there is mostly part of community, but there's even DL boys on Grindr, right? There's still the DL trade.
Talk about it.
And so for a lot of us, you know, who deal with DL guys, most of these guys have other situations going on at home. They have wives, girlfriends, families,
Hey, hold on. That's their
and
first one. And not to mention the side pieces.
yeah,
A
yeah.
whole is a whole to a dude. I ain't even, listen, I got homeboys. I got my heterosexual homeboys in the church that are musicians. Listen, I'm thinking these niggas are straight. One of my sisters, my siblings, hey, boy, I'm gonna go out with so and so, but you might know I'm here, church kid. Show me that picture, and I'll be like, damn, what am I supposed to do now? Right?
hmm
And he got a girlfriend and a wife in the same church.
hmm And when they come and deal with us, most times what they do is, and this is why, because I've had experience when we meet these guys, we talk to them, we engage with them, we talk all the things of the things, we send each other these, nudes and all of this stuff.
Oh, the dudes.
And then when it's time to the get down, they meet with you and they don't bring no condoms.
None. Zero. Zip zilch. I'm telling y'all. I lead with I'm HIV positive. And if I lead with that lets you know I really want to slob. I want to listen. I'm ready to swap DNAs. When I tell you that I'm HIV positive, because that's not if I don't tell you that I'm not sexually attracted to you, and you don't need to know. Plain and
Mhm.
simple. But when I reveal that information, baby, it can go down. It can go down in the alley. Right?
Right.
Yeah,
Nine times
I feel that.
out of 10, I've never planned sex. Even on my past the weekend, even doing Mardi Gras, even for Essence, even for Jazz Fest. I don't plan it, right? So when I leave with it, it's happening in the parking lot. But I want you to know this. I'm honest, and I told you, so I ain't wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Oh,
Yeah, I feel that.
that part, because HIV criminalization is real, and
For
people
real.
can know your status, right? You can be upfront about it. And then when Mad Day come, they can still go and say, oh, you didn't say it. And that's why and that's why I have been so public with it as
Yeah,
well, because I never wanted for anyone to weaponize my status against me in any
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. And so that's how it, I'm very leading with that as well. Either you're gonna fuck with it or you're not. I'm not gonna lose not a night of sleep about it. But anything I look at it, maybe I dodged a bullet, right?
exactly.
Because you so
Yeah.
caught up in not contracting HIV, but you still don't mind sticking your dick through a random hole and see who's on the other side.
Right, I don't have. Listen,
So
what I don't have is herpes, and so if I don't have it, I don't want it. Right? I don't need
exactly.
no flare-ups. Listen, the last thing I need is a barrier between me and him. Now, the next him, right? So yeah, right. I know that sometimes sexuality and preferences of sexuality can be tough and navigating, especially when you're not most comfortable in who you are, but what you're comfortable in what you do,
hmm
Yeah.
right?
hmm
And
But
so what I tell people is moving your safety, whatever that is. If
yeah.
your safety is not going to jail, then tell somebody. If your safety is you got a a gun, then go ahead and not tell them.
hmm
But you gotta have a gun and know how to use it. Moving your safety, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
And
some
speaking of safety,
and something else, but moving your safety, baby.
but speaking of safety,
Yeah,
we have a wonderful opportunity to have one of our trans brothers
yes,
on this live, and I know, for them, they have their own set of experiences, and I would love to hear from our brothers, or a few of my brothers if they're open to if they're here on the live, to talk about like their experience, knowing that like now for their community, trans men have finally been revealed into the light. And so I'm sure they have their own fair experience with other maybe trans women who
Um, I would say
will,
so.
and
So
even gay men.
being a trans man, I would say that when I first came into the scene of dating, I was in the beginning of my transition still. So I was in a place where I was finding my sexuality because of course I had been married to my ex-husband for 10 years at that point. Um, but like as I transitioned, I realized I didn't see myself as a gay man. So like
moving over to the side of what I was comfortable doing in the bedroom in comparison to being with a woman and not really being comfortable with my body. um I had jumped into dating a trans woman, and that was my first experience with being with a trans woman. And honestly, after that, it gave me a level of just being comfortable with myself and realizing that my preferences inside of the bedroom have nothing to do with the man that I am. So in doing that, I was able to find out like where I kind of fell into the dating area. But that was a big hiccup for me at first, like when my ex and I had gotten together, and she was specifically like she's a top. And I remember just like even how that conversation went, where like I wasn't in the scene or anything. I didn't even know what a top was. I was like, what are you talking about? And like she had to spell that out for me. And then but like and then at first I felt like that would make me less of a man if I wasn't a top in the situation and stuff like that. But in being in that relationship, I was able to become comfortable with who I am and understand, regardless of what I do in the bedroom, there are a lot of men that can't compete with the man that I am when I walk out in the world. Like the father that I choose to be, the type of worker I choose to be, it has nothing to do with that. So I was able to separate those two, and it put me in a great position to have a beautiful marriage now with a trans woman who's my wife. And but I feel like as trans men it's a journey, because if you don't identify as a lesbian before you transition, now you're transitioning not only to be a trans man, but you're a trans gay man. And if that's not what you identify as, you have to find out where you fit elsewhere in the playing field. You know what I mean?
So have you ever, before you met the person you was with, has anyone ever accused you, or has anyone ever chased after you?
um I've had individuals that have been on the pursuit of me as a baby maker. um like a great opportunity because they see that I already have children, and they know that I'm pre-op so I can still have children. And like that's a goal, and it's been trans women, gay men. Like it's more of a fetish, like not a I want to know you as a person, I want to figure out who you are. It's I want to have a baby with you. You don't know me, you just know what I look like.
See, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. Because I've heard that often from a few of my trans siblings and folks I share space with. Um, Even conversations with my brother often, um, oftentimes trans women pursue even him with hopes of topping him, right? But also understand that every trans guy you meet is not the same as the last one you dealt with, right? So
Right.
just because you may have been doing this with your past partners, don't mean that every trans guy is even open to being penetrated, right? And so to even come, or you hear girls who, for the trans guys who are post-op and who have went undergone their bottom surgeries. Once a guy say, "Oh, I have my bottom surgery," the girls, um, no, don't want it. Um, and one of my brothers even described his experience with one of the girls, and they're referring to him as damaged goods because he didn't have a vaginal opening anymore to be able to penetrate, right? And so once they found out that he has a penis, and it was like now the whole sexual fetish, right, has dissolved, right? Because everything I wanted to do with you and I had in my mind, once I got this factual information, now I don't want you, right? And so um, we hear it a lot within, especially with the guys I talk to, and especially the whole baby thing, right? Like you're not a human incubator where you just, and don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? If you're that person, some people don't mind being surrogates, right? There's a lot of money that can be made within folks who are open to being folks surrogate, right? But if that's not the business you're in, what makes you think I want to be positioned or even like, yeah, that's just crazy. Like you say, you don't know me.
Yeah.
And who's to say I want to
And
have babies with random strangers? If anything, I would love to have a
exactly.
child with someone who I'm building something with.
Exactly. And there's, I mean, unpopular statement, there's too many babies out here being brought into circumstances and situations that they don't need to be a part of because people just felt like because my body is capable of having a baby and I want either a baby or somebody to love me or whatever the situation is, now you have these children that are growing up in these broken homes where they're not getting what they need. And unfortunately, my children were a victim of that. And so I speak from personal experience on that. Have children because you're ready to have children, because you can provide what a child needs, not just financially but emotionally. Like don't damage these children that don't need to be a part of a situation that is less than beneficial for them.
Well, that was a
Yes,
word. That was a word.
it
And
was.
thank you for that transparency, that honesty, because it's something that folks need to hear. You know, when you have kids, that's a whole nother level of commitment. You know, and a lot of folks, want the idea of getting the accolades, but the reality is that you have to be ready. You have to be in that position. And granted, you know what I'm saying, things happen. Um, I've watched many people. For example, I have a relative in my family who has a disconnect with her kids because it's not because she was a bad mother, right? But she came from a place what I didn't have as a child. I want my children to have, and because she provided them with the big house, the big bedrooms, anything that they wanted, that also took her away from them a lot because she had to work and she had to keep up with the job to be able to provide these things for her kids, right? So although she was there and she didn't understand as they got older why she couldn't really connect with
Right.
them, right?
Right.
And then they had a closer relationship with their grandmother who often raised them, right? Because that's who raised them. You provided for them, but she raised them. She took them to the doctors. When they were sick, she nurtured them
And
back to health.
that's
When
what
it
they
was good,
remember.
that's what they remember. That's who the connection they have. And so oftentimes people even get caught up with, I need to provide, provide, provide. And granted, we all have to work, right? And if you don't have to work, if you can sit on your ass and make money, then bitch, show me how, right?
Me too. Me too.
Please just show me how, honey. Well, I could just sit here. But we know many of us have to get up and we have to go get it. And so oftentimes, for me, when I had mines and then when my daughter came into my life, I realized like I worked a lot. I'm very heavily involved in community. My capacity sometimes can get depleted really quickly by just dealing with people, figuring out their shit, this, that, and the third. And sometimes your your enough is not enough, right? And so I
Yeah.
had to realize that when my child came, that I had to step back because what I realized that I didn't want to be that parent like my relative, right? That was just so busy working and fixing everything and doing everything so I'm not taking care of home in the ways that were like, emotionally and stuff. So I chose to step back and I prioritized my daughter. I prioritize being there. I know there's moments so I would never get back. Like today, we was in a group before this call and many of them got to watch Egypt take her first steps. Those were moments for me that I want to be there for, right? I don't want to be at work and I'm missing out on all these things for me that are precious to me.
Yeah,
And so, yeah.
I feel that. I feel that. But it's a blessing that you're able to take that time so that you know you're not missing those moments because they're important.
Yeah.
Like they're really important. And like as the kids get older, you look back and you realize how fast that time went by. And that's like you're just grasping at straws. My son's getting ready to go off to college in 2 years. And I'm like, where did the time go? Like what happened? I turned around and you were 16.
Child, in a 6 months from now, y'all hear Coco Melon playing, but y'all gonna hear VH1, BET, whatever other music shit that the kids be listening to nowadays. Baby, it's gonna be, she grow up so fast, honey.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, and it has its amazing moments, but people also have to remember that the reality of parenting is it's lonely a lot of times. Like, you're not going to be out with friends and you're going to have to miss the parties and stuff. It makes up for it in like the memories and the moments that you guys have together, but parenting isn't as glamorous as it looks on social media a lot of times, and you just got to be ready for what you're getting into so that these kids can be successful because we're going to be in hell of hot water if if we don't raise this next generation right because they about to take over the world.
Absolutely. All right. I'm gonna see if I can bring some more people aboard who want to come on and share. And we're definitely going to get back to that parenting conversation. We're gonna have to rewind it all over again because we got some new people on, and a lot of people know about the show. So you know I'm gonna have you come back, Mr. Love.
Absolutely, man.
Mr. Love.
But
Well,
Brody, what has been your experience? I know you say you have been labeled a chaser, but what have been your experience just dating within the community? Zamari?
me?
Yes.
Come on, sis. I'll be honest with you. I can have people come on this show and they flirt and they make compliments, but nobody really approaches me after. You know, I guess they're scared. A lot of insecurities with the girls who do approach me. Um, and I'm picky. I'm not even gonna lie. I have a list of, and if you don't know certain things about me that shows me that you like me for me and not just my look, then you dismiss. But usually after I say things that I like to eat, girls be like, I can't. You know, I don't eat chicken on the bone. Are you black? I'm like, I don't eat seafood. Oh no, you got to go. So a lot of times that's
You eat steak though, right?
huh?
So how has it made you feel as a person who has been genuinely interested in certain people? But the minute you kind of like set boundaries in regards to like even when it comes down to sexual boundaries, and they're very dismissive of that, like how does that make you feel?
um Honestly, when it comes down to my sexual preference, or even when it comes down to any type of talk, a lot of people look at me and think of me as someone who's actually going out there and engaging in sex, but I actually don't. I'm very deep within my church. I am a child in the hill of the house of prayer. Um, so when that comes, I have morals. I have respect for myself. I'm not out here just engaging, and I'm actually quite a nerd. I'm into comic books and video games. I work and come home, and I guess a lot of the girls find those guys who are out doing whatever and think I'm fast just like them. I'm sorry, I'm not. Um, that's not me at all. If you are coming to me, like I said, I have a list. Um, have good credit, have a car, a house, or something that lets me know that you're even trying. Um, I'm I'm not just gonna go for anyone or anything because of looks. Those looks will fade. So yeah. You said so. I can't hear you.
I said I was looking at the comments and I said I see that Danae, the beautiful Danae said, "Be honest."
Oh,
Are you not being honest?
well, the beautiful Danae. Well, let me see if I can bring her aboard.
But no, in regard, I mean that it. Hold on, because that comment kind of got me wanting to kind of probe a little more. But I also know a time and a place, so this is not here. But however, but no,
She
because I
declined
know.
me. She declined me. Um, the beautiful Danae is someone that I'm now. We have been speaking, and I'm very much interested in. Um, and I'm gonna see how it goes. Uh, hopefully, it turns out okay.
All right, Brody. See, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for taking that step. See now, y'all ladies, that is boundary. See what that was just stated as boundary,
Mhm.
right? This is a person saying that I am interested in someone and I'm interested again to know them, and this is who I'm right now currently focused on. So everybody else, you heard it here. You heard it today. Okay. I'm sorry, and I have to tell my brother, it's okay. You have to learn to. It's okay to hurt people's feelings,
Mhm.
right? It's okay to hurt people's feelings. I know some people struggle with that. They got a lot of folks that are people pleasers, and they don't want to. They try to avoid conflict, and or any type of situation like that. But it's okay to say, "I'm good. You're not my type." Even if you were interested in getting to know someone, it's okay to say, you know what, I think you friend zone. I think it's okay if we be friends and nothing more than just friends, right? And it takes you to have to be honest, and transparent, and not afraid of letting people know that only have certain intentions with you, to know that that's not it and that's not what I'm looking for. And so that's why I say, when I say we talk about chasers, even trans people can be chasers, because now there's this whole T for T emergence, and everyone is got the eye on, ooh, what I can get into or who I can get into, right? And it's at this point, a lot of us are not pursuing one another with the correct intentions. It's all about, oh, child, my girlfriend had it. She told me about it. I want to see what it's like too. Oh, my Brody told me he had it. I want to see what that's like too. And the first thing is often built on is sex. The first thing, before I even care about what your credit looks like, before I even really care about what your personal goals and what your before I even really get to, yo, what that dick look like. Yo, send me a picture.
Mhm.
Yo, and immediately, that's the first thing we really go to. And it's just not within our community, as trans folks. We see it often a lot within the LGBT community. Well, I don't know about lesbians because I've never been in the lesbian space and know how they work. But a lot of them seem like they have actually relationships. They have drama and shit too, but for most part, like, I don't know. Y'all could probably speak to that more than I can, because that ain't my experience. But
I was never in that scene.
Yeah.
I like, before I transitioned, I was married my whole adult life to a man, so I lived a very heterosexual life the whole time. I didn't come into the scene until I was trans. So I don't know, but I feel like I got lumped into the lesbian category because I was so masculine. And people were always real surprised to hear I had a husband. They were like, "Wait, what?" But but yeah, they were always really sweet.
Um,
Please, yeah.
the lesbian scene for me was more of I was too masculine. They saw me as a guy, and they weren't attracted to that. It's a difference between being masculine and too masculine, and I was too masculine to be in a lesbian scene. They kicked me out. I was kicked out. I'm sorry.
Exiled.
Yeah, I was exiled. I didn't have a chest or anything that when I took off my clothes, I felt comfortable. Um, and with lesbians, they feel comfortable with their body, especially studs. I didn't, and for that reason, I wasn't allowed in that world. I'm sorry. So, and plus being a gold, what they call it, a gold star, uh, stud. Don't like to touch me not. That
Yeah,
didn't work.
yeah, the touch me
Yeah.
nots.
I love being a little pillow princess.
Yeah.
But no,
And
that's
it's
a whole,
funny
that'll be a
because
whole great
like
conversation for another topic as well. Just as far as for our trans masculine brother siblings, who frequent or was in lesbian spaces and the whole exile and casting out. Because I realized that I often, so I saw this post on social media in regards to this guy, um, and he was sharing his experience with a lesbian, and he dated a lesbian, right? And they were in a relationship, and she stood on identifying as a lesbian,
Hmm.
which kind of put him in this awkward position because in a sense you also outing me because I don't identify as a woman, right?
like
So when we show up in spaces and you be like, and everybody know that you're a hardcore lesbian because they love to wear. I'm a lesbian, and if you're out him, but then two, you don't necessarily see or value him as the man that he see and values himself. And so he acts like he shared this point. He asked like he was asking for other communities like thoughts on this. And it was so many different comments, but I was just thinking like at the end of the day, for women who like women, right? For the lesbians who are hardcore lesbians, they're not budging, they're not identifying as bisexual. I am a lesbian. For a lot of trans guys who transition, and I also had the opportunity to talk to a lesbian about would she date a trans guy or what was her, reservations around dating a trans guy. And she was like, she respects their transition. She said, but the thing about it is that they're men, right? Like she said, everything about them changes from the way they smell to the way that they feel, to certain things that at one point in time other women may have enjoyed, right? So we know when guys take testosterone, that it changes everything, right? And so even though there are lesbians who love the idea of masculinity, right? They date studs, they may even take, grow a little facial hair, but as long as they still identify as a
yeah,
woman,
it's just different.
Good.
we good. But the minute you identify anything outside of that, then it's a problem.
It's funny because I had a friend that I was really close to her. And at that point in time she was a lesbian. Like we had our little thing, but we never actually dated. We were both in the military and stuff, and she actually ended up marrying a man. And now like we continued to be friends afterward and stuff, and I transitioned. Well, I was talking to her and one day she hit me up and she was like, we can't talk anymore. And I was like, huh? And she was like, out of respect for my husband, I don't feel right talking to another man. And I had to step back and think about it and like, I gotta respect that. I just never thought about it. I'm like, me, I feel like the same person. Like there's there's no more feelings towards you today than there were a week ago, but in all reality, I'm a man now. And it's just gonna be a byproduct sometimes.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to have that conversation coming up with a group of guys. And I might invite some cis women along, lesbians and you know, straight cis women who date trans guys. Um, let's see what they have to say about it. But I see we have another guest.
Danae, the beautiful Danae, the dark and lovely Danae.
Yes, excuse me,
Yes,
excuse me
baby. What's
excuse me
going
for
on?
being late. Excuse me for being late. Somebody put me on the spot. Somebody put me on the spot. So I guess I have to show my face because somebody put me on the spot, Milan. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, in regards to so the conversation, of course, is around chasers
okay.
and things. What has been your experience with if you have any experience with any chasers in the community? What are your point of view on chasers? How can you clock or identify a chaser when they're in your space or trying to pursue you? And how you handle it?
I don't know. I have to say for me, I think with most cases I never had that problem. I honestly never had that problem because when I see trans men and I know that they're trans men, I don't know, for me it's just I just speak and then they just automatically just assume that, that I'm, cis. So well, a natural born woman. So they really don't approach me like that. So I really haven't had that experience unless I approach them, and we have a discussion and I have talked to, trans men and, we connected. I mean, it almost became something sexually, but not really. But I was never, you know, but I was never opposed to it. I always, had an attraction for it, but I just never pursued it because most of the guys, they don't look at me like that. To the point where they'd be like, okay, well, I just know she is. I know she is. So I'm just going to pursue her because I know she is. And so I tell them, like, hey, I am. You can pursue me. It's okay. But girl, they don't even pursue me like that because they be like, okay, well, shit, she's not what I like. She's not what I want. Until they really get to know me, they'd be like, oh, they see me in the community. They see me somebody that I know that's in the community. They'd be like, oh, but damn, she is. But then all of a sudden they want to go chase them behind me. I'm like, no, don't chase behind me now. I don't want you now. I don't want you now. So that's been my experience. So I really haven't had like training chases behind me. And if I did, just like Zay said, I have morals and values. So I let them know, like, I don't play the games with cis men like that. So I'm definitely not gonna play no games with no trans men. That's not gonna happen. I don't let them get away with it. No. So this has been my experience. Nothing major, Milan. Nothing major. Shit. Don't be running behind me or nothing. No.
Yes, yes, yes. I appreciate that. I see that you and Zamari has established a connection,
Mm-hmm.
and Zamari has made it publicly known today that he is interested in getting to know you deeper on a deeper level and things and stuff like that. So I'm excited for y'all. You know, things can be things can be complicated at times. But yeah, I'm excited to see where y'all go. I like y'all two together.
Very
I like.
complicated. It's very
You know,
complicated. But
because
but he knows.
I
It's
don't
very
know a lot of the girls, and I'm
complicated.
not gonna sit up there and act like I know everybody this and that because I really don't. But people that I know
Right.
I have shared space with, and I've been in space and I got to feel them
Yeah.
out. And I'm like, I like Danae. Danae is real. Is a person that, like you said, because you're just not involved in a lot of circles,
No,
right?
I'm
You know,
not.
so
I'm not.
I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, she's not like the average girl that we see a lot within the community. So, you know, I'm excited to see where y'all go in. But yes, yes, we shall
We shall see.
yeah.
Hey, who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows, Alon? You put us on the spot, so it really was, you know,
It's only up from here.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I
Um,
mean, if he's serious, if he's serious. So
I'm still waiting for
Yes,
Alan.
where's our anchors of this
Yeah,
conversation? Where is Talia and Alan?
yeah.
Well, I'm
I
gonna get back.
feel
I
like,
can
yeah,
understand Alan. Alan probably,
his
dealing with
baby.
some things. So but yeah, they started it. You see, they started it. But no, this is conversation something that is held and held a lot within our communities and our circles, and and I'm sure that many folks have their own experiences. But yeah, my experience has been very like my thing is this. Also, people have to understand a chaser will also kill you
Yes.
because a lot of the guys who most trans women deal with, and this is why I tell a lot of girls, because and this actually, Niambi spoke about this maybe a few days ago, maybe even yesterday on her live in regards to trans women being murdered and who's responsible for murdering trans women, right? And it's a lot of black men that we know who are the ones who are accountable and responsible for a lot of these deaths we have seen over the years. But I also can't always, because I tell girls all the time, like a lot of these guys let us know what it is from the beginning, right? Especially these DL, discreet, down low guys, because that's most of the guys that most of the girls deal with, you know. Um, and so when these guys, I tell them all the time, they will murder you to protect their masculinity and manhood
Yes, it will.
because he's already dealing with some mental shit already. Because and I understand it, right? Because of society and how they deem and uphold black men, and the rhetoric, and black men to be seen anything outside of a woman. Nah, in fact, they don't fly in a lot of the black communities. And so, but when these guys let you know what it is from the beginning, and you still lean forward into it, then in a sense you have put yourself in an unsafe, dangerous situation. Because what happens is these girls get with these boys, they fall in love with these boys and catch feelings for these boys, and then the realization sits in it that they'll never be able to have the life that they want with him.
Mhm.
And so some of these girls go to the point to where they're even, and versus just cutting the whole relationship off,
Yeah.
they decide to out these boys. They decide to do these things, and then in retaliation, they are hurt or murdered. And so when you are when you know what you're dealing with, but you still decide to go play in that arena, then you can't be surprised when that cobra turns around and strikes. So I tell girls, even within dealing, a lot of the chasers, these are the ones who murder you. Because
Absolutely.
most chasers ain't open about a chaser versus trans, like a chaser versus a guy who actually is pursuing trans women, and don't mind. Even guys that are open publicly about their shit, like child, like don't. I'm not gonna sit up and say that they're any less dangerous, but they're not trying to protect their secret, right? Like guys that are open about their shit, it is what it is with them. But for guys who are discreet and down low and only want to pursue you on their terms, then those are the ones that are most likely fuck you, rob you, and kill you in the same hour.
It speaks to a bigger point of what you just said earlier a little bit, and that was how we have made gender roles such a priority in the Black community. And we can go back and we could talk about how families were separated, and we could talk about slavery and all of the things that came from that. And I understand it. At the end of the day, it's a form of dignity that people want to have, equity, equality, all that. I mean, we can branch out into different parts of it and we can speak on the same things. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that we are who we are. We love who we love. and for all the things that we do, it's not a personal reflection on all. Sad thing is we're tribal minded, and every single time we make it through one thing, we create another problem as human beings. That knows no race, that knows no gender, that knows nothing. We have to always remember at the end of the day that as long as we're trying to take care of our own, may that be family, friends, chosen family, whatever, let us do so in the best way possible, knowing that we have each other's backs, that we have each other to lean on, and anybody trying to come into it, no matter how discreet, no matter how secretive, no matter what, we have to look out for one another. That's why I applaud the different people within community who warn others. Let me tell you something, that one right there, we need to do that more. We need to sometimes put out secret alerts. But the problem is, and I just attested to it down there in the comments, we need to focus on ourselves, build ourselves up, understand who we are, having our own form of personal appreciation and pride in ourselves. We speak on pride this, pride that, but what does that mean? It's not just about, hey, look at me. No, it's about, I know who I am, and I'm willing to go each and every day as I am. And there's nothing that's going to stop me. And if there is something that's going to stop me, I will be remembered for what I do. I think we need to always remember that we don't need to not realize our worth. Then and only then can we venture out. Quite honestly, I've been celibate for 3 years by choice. By choice, because right now I'm in this place where I'm recently released after a year and a half. And though there's no timeline for me per se, would I like to have a relationship? That would be wonderful, but I'm not looking for it. Everything I'm trying to do right now is to establish myself so that I can build something for me. So when I look in the mirror, I can say, I did this. I've been blessed enough to go through these trials and tribulations and allow myself to, when I do have a partner, and pray to Allah that I know at the end of the day, if we have some type of family, there will be generational wealth and there will be things passed on and passed down, because I want to be able to be that person to leave a legacy. And legacy doesn't always mean fame and fortune. It just means at the end of the day, I have something to my name that I can pass on to someone of whom I love. But the only way I can do that is build myself up and know that the people that are around me who encourage me and love on me, I recognize that and know no matter what, I can mess up all the time. But as long as I'm staying real to myself and real to them, they will be open enough to help me out, because it took me a long time to ask for help. And if those down low dudes can do that for themselves, then maybe, just maybe, the world can be a little better. Because if they start focusing on themselves, things are going to be a lot better, because then we're safer. They won't have to be so desperate. I remember I was working not too long ago. It was a traveling family. I was still working at Wendy's, and it was a nice little nuclear family, if you will. Now the husband, the father, he acts stoic towards me. Not cold, but just a little stoic. Real just, all right. Wife is cool. So now she's taking the kids over to the table to sit down and get all the stuff together. And now here comes Mr. Husband, Mr. Father. And now it's pet names towards me. Now it's all this towards me, all this. And I'm looking at this guy like, what? You weren't doing that before. What makes you feel so insecure with yourself that with a wife and kids, you have the unmitigated gall to now talk to me with the platitudes you're supposed to be giving to your wife? What's that say about our society? It's bad enough you already have infidelity, but closeted infidelity at that? No, you need to work on you, dude. For real, you really do. Because at the end of the day, I'm no one's secret. I'm no one's plaything unless I say I want to be that. Plain and simple. Come at me if you want. Because at the end of the day, my worth is that of any queen out there in the world, period. I will not settle for anything less than pure respect, love, and admiration. Enough said.
Baby, and that's that. Baby, Jen said it here first. Jen said it here live. Y'all heard it for yourselves. Understanding your worth, understanding where you are in your life, understanding what you are willing to deal with and what you are absolutely not willing to deal with, what you will tolerate, what you will not tolerate. And understanding that, right? You know, I know we all get lonely. We all want that, you know, that warm touch, both on the inside and outside part. You know, we all, well, I'm gonna say all because we have asexual people in our community, you know. So, but for those of us who still enjoy a little intimacy, physically, some sexual healing, you know, understanding that sometimes you just need to prioritize yourself. Because, baby, one thing about it, and two things for sure. When it comes down to a lot of the men we deal with, you know, oftentimes we would like to place blame, right? And oftentimes a lot of black women, unfortunately, get a lot of heat. And sometimes they may play a small part in the situation, but also the accountability falls on the individual. You know, I understand in our black community, you know, the black woman, her stamp of approval for black men, you ain't even gotta know, like they ain't even gotta know each other. It's just that I need this black woman to respect and see me as a black king. And so oftentimes we'll say, oh, well, these women are the reason why these men can't be truthful and open about themselves and this, that, and the third. And that could be very well true in some aspects. But at the same time, it's his responsibility to free himself from those burdens and chains that he's carrying.
Absolutely.
You know, the reality is too, and there are a lot of women out here who also don't care about your sexual preference. There are a lot of women who do not care about their men's sexual preference. I think oftentimes we worry about receiving a validation from the wrong people.
Yes. I agree.
And I say that too. When I was younger, when I didn't know quite my power and my worth and all of these things, you know, and I always say your worth always increases, right? Because the price yesterday is not going to be the price today. My worth went up. The price went up, man. So, but when I was young and I was dealing with guys, you know, I can honestly say that oftentimes I use the word fun a lot. Because that's what it was for me. It was fun, right? In the sense, those men validated me in that moment, right? Even if I knew it was just for a few minutes. You know, I felt seen. But a lot of that changes as you get older and you start to have, and you want more for yourself. And that's the thing, you have to want more for yourself. You can't be willing to settle.
Yeah.
Because we'll all be willing to settle for the bare minimum. We'll all settle for mediocre, if we didn't, but it's about knowing that you deserve more and that you deserve a person. And granted, and I'm not gonna speak for everybody because again, some people are totally cool with dealing with certain shit.
Yeah.
They are content with it. I'm good. That's what I want. And you know, I'm not gonna try to dictate how you should move or this, that, and the third. But for a lot of girls who always talk about like this DL or chasers, then also understand that there's there's something you may be doing that's attracting these people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want something real or possible, a better chance of finding something, maybe get off the apps because that's all that's going to be on there is chasers. And I'm not going to be mad because a lot of chasers also has paid a lot of our bills, right? Like for those of us that engage in sex work, those are your chasers. Those are your chasers. They don't really want to pursue you, baby. They understand it's a bit. I'm coming. I'm gonna pay you this. I want this, and I'm out the door. Majority of those men are your chasers. I'm not gonna say all of them are your chasers because you have some men that have a situation at home, right? They have a family, a wife, or whatever, but also have a trans woman that they're also in another relationship with, meaning he's taking care of both households. Yeah, you may be a mistress, right? You may be that mistress. However, y'all have this relationship. But folks can understand again chasers versus people who are actually trying to pursue them and have a relationship. Now, if your relationship is open, that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother conversation.
That is a whole nother conversation.
Let's be honest. So there are some chasers out there who will pursue a relationship just so they won't have to pay if they know they get involved with girls who do sex work.
Well, see, those are those that yes, but I kind of seen those are situationships. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this nigga homeless, he need a place to stay. Yeah, he may not even be gay for real, but y'all trans attracted for real. He just in a situation, so which he just, that whole gay for pay. He may be in a situation. Look, I know these. I'm gonna play on their top to get what I need, and that's just what it be at a lot of times. But some people be in some fucked up situations.
Yeah.
They be willing to risk it all, bitch, for a nice warm bed, a soft bed at night.
I'm always taken aback by the lengths that certain men go to for the pursuit of us. We speak on, sex work or even just being on apps or things like that, but it says a lot about one's true intention when you go so far out of your way to do something for yay amount of time, mind you. But when it's time to actually confront that, you buckle, you you fold. And the very thing that you're trying to portray, this strength, this masculinity and strength, this like bravado, you're doing the exact opposite. It's counterproductive. You're not helping yourself and you're not helping anyone else. You're causing more chaos than you really truly believe and realize. Because everything, we learned it when we were in school, and it goes for everything in life. For every action, there will be a reaction. There will be a cause and an effect. And those ripples can keep going and going and going, and you will never know where it'll stop. You do not know. People need to understand the consequences of their actions. Because if they don't, like you said before, we're going to either end up on the news.
And have ended up on the news. And have. Look at Miss Mama's baby girl who mugshot is going viral all over the place from running down the man with the truck and shit. Like, baby, sometimes I tell people all the time, you just never know. You know what I'm saying? Like, this could be a point to where in her life she felt like, bitch, I can't take no more L's. I can't afford another L, and somebody got to pay for it. Thank you. That's it. My office hours are from 9 to 5. That's it, baby. I tell people all the time, when dudes, baby, look, if you look in the just drop in, if you just trying to look for a drop-in center, which I can point you to many community organizations where you can drop in from 3 to 4, 12 to 1, this, that, and the third, baby. This ain't no drop-in center, bitch. What you think I'm running over here?
Mm-hmm.
My office hours are from 9 to 5.
That's right. All right. Let me see if I can bring Jen back.
So Facebook must be Facebooking tonight.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to because I'm seeing the numbers, but if Talia and Alan if you're out there, please hit the invite button because everybody's not showing up on the showing up on my request. So yeah, how that go?
Technical difficulties.
As always.
Good old technology.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's nothing wrong with being a chaser, but it's the person who's chasing.
And like I
Yeah.
said, always the intent.
That becomes the problem. You know, I never knock a person from that's your thing. Do your big one. And I live by a simple rule in life: no harm, no foul. If you ain't harming nobody, then this, that, and the third, whatever. If you dealing with who you dealing with is consensual, and you have that understanding, and the laws of the land has been placed, and then cool. But y'all can play all day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for me. The scary part for me is who's chasing me, right? Who I'm running from. That's you know, because everybody's baby. We all have them experiences to where we don't mind when a chase and we turn around and it's something appealing, something that we made. But we all have those experiences with a chase, baby. The nigga
But
you
remember,
want
it's not always the
the last
ones
man
that you
on
think.
earth decide he want to approach you because he feeling what?
Yeah. It's not always the ones you think, though, because the same ones that are appealing can also be the ones that are the most dangerous.
Oh yeah,
as they say, the grass ain't always greener on the other side.
Oh yeah, and I think of it also as like STI risk, right? Like when I look at two niggas and one is really highly attractive and then one is like kind of like butt face ugly, I'm gonna probably fuck with the butt face ugly one before I go for the higher because he know he's attractive and his dick probably been everywhere, and so the likely of the other one really getting any play like that, not saying that he haven't done anything, but I'm gonna probably go for that's how it is. You gotta go for
There's
look
a
at
humbleness that will come from that. There's a humbleness that will come from that.
Oh yeah, that appreciation. That appreciation.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That level of appreciation hits different.
What they used to say, I don't want to be with nobody who's gonna be prettier than me or have to take more time than me.
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I think a nigga
just can't have that.
Like, oh, he cute, he hot, baby. He has no problem with getting probably whatever he want. Bitch, I know the girls is just dropping their pants, baby. And I know how niggas is too, cause they, like I said, they'll show up to your house with no condom. So I already know how it is. Like, baby, you fucking and Yeah, that dick might be leaking, burning, itching, scratching. It might be something, baby. You don't want
Oh
to.
no.
But
Jen,
that's a whole other conversation and topic for another day.
I'm gonna
That
bring
is.
I'm gonna
That
bring you
will
right.
be.
I'm gonna bring you right back, Jen. It seems like somebody hit the request button, and
Absolutely, love.
all
I'll stick around.
right.
Oh, look up. Oh, shit. Yes, indeed.
Don't forget, everyone. If anyone wants to come and talk about this topic, please hit the invite button because I can't see you.
Yes, yeah. Mother
Okay,
Rachel,
how are you?
what's going on, boo?
So this is a great topic. A lot of things that was said was healing, was confirmation about, currently, and this is another thing, right? I'm just gonna be honest. I got tired of men. I'm tired of cisgender men, and it gets. I've been dating, dealing, crying, fighting with them for years, from the age of 12 to 32. I'm tired of them. And it got worse because of, me being sexually assaulted multiple times. I'm scared of them, even to this day. And I deal with them. I have dealt with them so far because it was familiarity. Sometimes things that are familiar are not always good for you, right? Sometimes things that are familiar are familiar and not always good with you. And I also thought about, um, the girl that I'm talking to, or the woman that I'm talking to now. You know, it's different because I know you're not. I know that our relationship is not going to be based upon just that. Like we're going to be able to go out in public. Not that I haven't been out in public before with cisgender men. Not that I have not been in open relationships, Mulan. I think you remember my ex-boyfriend when I was, dealing with him and everything. I've been in those open relationships, and he was openly bisexual, and I had a problem with him at that time being openly bisexual because I was on something trying to be trans with a cisgender mindset. Don't work. It don't work. Baby, you are who you are. Love who you are. Because at this stage of my life, I'm in between intimacy versus isolation. Do I want intimacy or isolation? Isolation can come in many different forms. It can, and it doesn't mean isolation necessarily mean you're alone. It could just mean you're having all these people, men, come in and out of your house, deal treacherously with you, right? Not even righteously, treacherously, because we're gonna talk about the idea of just being out and open. A lot of these DL men, they're not as strong as men that I think about. Like my ex, he was very. I'm sorry, my ex
All
was
right,
very.
Miss Love, Miss. I mean Love. I'm gonna drop you down for a minute, and I'll bring you back. We got
Okay,
another
bet.
man. We got another man that wants to come in.
Mm.
Okay.
All right.
So, my my ex was very open. He was a strong man to be open. Now he couldn't handle it because now he married to a cisgender woman. Now the cisgender woman knew about me. She know I'm still in the picture. Like I'm still here, but I don't want him. I want something different, and I want to have the opportunity of experiencing something different. Am I chasing? No, because I don't feel like I'm definitely not be chasing or becoming a chaser. I just want to explore, just like when we first came out. Remember when we first came out and we wanted to explore different things. There's many different facets of my life that I'm going to explore. So I think that this is a very good, and I think um, not until they murder you, because this is a reality, right? It can happen, and I wanted to also comment on what you said, Mulan, about how the chasers can murder you, but also the trans attracted men, because a trans
Hold
woman got murdered
on,
by
hold on,
her husband.
hold on for a moment. Mr. Martin, you have to hit the button, the request button to come in, and if that doesn't work, you have to go out and then come back in and hit the request button because some reason I can't bring you on.
Mm. So you know what I'm saying, Mulan? Like it can happen. So I think it's so many different things that, as a trans woman, I'm very cautious about now. So I like to have my son, absolutely. But it's getting to a point now, like you said, we want more for ourselves. And when you want more for yourself and you're elevating and you're stepping up and you're rolling to the platform, in my situation, you do what you gotta do and you want to live a safe, productive life, So thank you again, Zay. Mhm. Mhm. Chinga.
Sis, you on pause. You on pause.
I was just talking.
Yeah.
No, I was saying, no, I said I see that we have a lot of people that are actually tuned into the live, and that, this conversation happens a lot, especially, amongst our community. And I said, I see that there's actually a cis guy in our, on the way, I don't know if he's still viewing, but Troy Kennedy, um, who is a person who is trans attracted, who also has been labeled a chaser by certain girls within the community. And it would be great to hear from a cis guy who is trans attracted, who has been labeled a chaser, and just give like his point of view or perspective. Not saying that I know him to be a chaser personally, because I haven't dealt with him. So I'm not saying that he is, but I know that this has been a conversation, and I know he's aware of it. How you doing, Troy?
Well, I haven't been called a chaser in decades, baby.
Yeah, but it's been some
I,
things, the girls,
I haven't.
community.
I was in a 10-year relationship, almost 4-year relationship, and a 1-year relationship in the last 25 years. I've been single for the last 8. So, you know,
I recall a time where there was a conference that happened. A
okay,
lot of girls.
let's not go there.
No, that's why I
We
was just saying that's where the allegations and stuff
that was
came up.
that wasn't the allegation, but we're not going to go there. I've moved way beyond that. I sit on the board for the largest black LGBT organization in America. I'm still doing the work. I'm still trying to get the guys to step up. Even when I stepped away, unfortunately, a lot of men continue to be the same. But we have to look at it in a broader way. First of all, a lot of men don't appreciate women, period. So let's make that part of the discussion, because when men don't appreciate women, period, or use trans women as Okay, I wasn't successful with cis women, so I'm going to use trans women as a default. Again, that's continuing to devalue women and especially trans women. So those are the conversations that we need to have. You know, men chase women, period. You know, some men just aren't ready and will never be ready and choose not to be ready to deal with a woman in in a real sense. So, you know, you have to kind of figure out where a man is in his life and his journey and, you know, really what he wants. And you have to be honest with yourself about that guy, you know. Um, you know, I've been single for quite a while and I wish it was otherwise, but I'm happy being with me. You know, you have to learn to love, like, and respect yourself before you can love, like, and respect anyone else. And that's very, very, very important. And I think that's part of the conversation that we never have because a lot of these men simply don't love themselves. They don't like themselves. They're not comfortable in whatever their sexuality may be. When you put all that together and then they live in fear, what happens is it becomes volatile. They become dangerous. They don't know how to, you know, interact with people socially, especially outside of, you know, cis heteronormative situations. You know, they want to stay in that delusion of, you know, well, I don't, this isn't me. I don't like that, you know, but, you know, they're with the girls and, you know, some with the girls, the guys and the fish and the monkeys and the gorillas and everything else in between. So the conversation is just much broader about how men feel about themselves, first and foremost. And if you don't feel good about yourself, you can't feel good about anybody else. That's all I got to say. I ain't got nothing else to say.
Thank you for that input.
Well, yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for bringing it. It's good to have a cis guy since this is, you know, we're heavily talking about y'all.
Mhm.
You
And,
know,
and
to come into the space and just kind of clear things up. I only brought it up because I saw you pop in the comments, and I know that you have attraction to trans women,
yep.
and that there have been conversations. So as a person that I wanted just to bring you up, just to give a different perspective as a person who may have been labeled this, but it may not be that. This is who I am. This is who I'm attracted to. This is how I move in spaces. Just to just give a different perspective. So
Well,
I'm.
let me say this real quick too. What I've been telling a lot of guys for a number of years is that they can't weaponize the truth against you. So if you walk in your truth, you know, and somebody says, "Oh my God, you know, you date trans women," yes, I do. Okay,
Mhm.
that's it's not an insult to me. That's something that, you know, literally someone tried that with me very recently, and I said, "Well, did you see the documentary? Did you catch me on the local news, or did you read about me on Vice.com, or did you see me in the number of lives that I've done over the years, or did you check my YouTube page? How about this? Google me, and then let's have a conversation." So when you own your truth, you have so much more power. It you it, it and that strength, that power, and I'm going to say this. I've said it for years. I'm going to continue to say it. I look at the trans women that I've known for the last 3+ decades. um, you know, they've lived in their truth. And the time actually has been 4 decades, but because I'll be 60 Friday. But yeah, you know, 60. But um, I wouldn't be the man I am today without those women. You know, they taught me how to be real, how to walk in my own truth. You know, so looking at trans women and their strength as a man, especially when you're DL and you aren't at least mirroring what trans women do, then you don't even need to be at the party, baby. You need to sit down somewhere until you're ready. That's what we as men have to start having that conversation with you know, with other men. And I've been doing that off and on for years, just trying to get men to step up. Because once you step up and you walk in your truth, I mean, you're good. You know, I've never had to worry about people being violent against me because I like trans women. You know, I step up. They know better. They know better not to say certain things about trans women or trans men or gays or lesbians because I stand up for everybody. So Walking in your truth is very, very important. And again, that's what trans women do every day. So why can't we? You know, there, for me, there's no excuse. You know, how many years is it going to take you? 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20. I know guys who at the start of the internet, the start of social media, you know, that they were DL, and now 20, 30 years down the line, they're still there. Got to go.
I think his camera
I
froze.
definitely agree with what he said in regards to owning your shit. You know, when you own your shit and you know, this is who I am, nobody can make you feel a type of way. You know, that's one thing my mother taught me your information can be other people's ammunition. And so for the fact that, you know, when you walk in your truth, nobody can really make you feel no type of way about you walking in your truth unless it really comes off then disrespectful, right? Then that's the whole now it's not about my truth. It's about you just disrespecting me. And that's just what it is. But um
We have another guest, Miss the lovely Miss Brazil.
Hello.
How you doing?
hi. Hey.
Hello, y'all. So I can't see me on this, on the little, I see a gray box. So if I look a mess, I apologize because I can't, you know how you can see yourself and you can kind of fix your little shine or something. I can't see nothing. So we're just going to roll with it.
All right.
This is a very interesting topic, or discussion, shall I say. I definitely see both sides of everything. Um, However, when it comes to men needing to be open-minded about being okay with dating a trans woman, I feel like that's no difference than forcing someone out the closets. If people are not ready, they shouldn't be forced to just because they want to be able to be free and date who they want. Everyone comes out on their own timing. It's no difference from being gay, no difference from being trans, gay, lesbian, whatever. And it shouldn't be forced on. And I noticed this about this community, the trans community. It's very much, well, if a man wants to be with me, oh, he can't be discreet and no down low and this and that and just come out. And I've noticed a couple of my trans sisters have almost forced guys to come out. Now, granted, that is still her right to date him. If she doesn't want to feel kept a secret, then that's not the man for you. It's period, point blank. It's simple as that. No one has the right to force anyone to come out, especially in a day and age where they are going to risk their entire livelihood over somebody who might not even last a month. So to me, hell no. Respectfully, hell no. A man should not have to be forced to come out because someone simply wants to fall in love with him or he wants to fall in love. I look at it like this, and this is about to sound so horrible, but it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. Being a trans woman, I can't speak from a trans man experience, nor the non-binaries, because their battles is something totally different from mine. Speaking from a trans woman's point of view, I look at it as we are the 1950s colored girl. The reason why I say that is because during that time, even though it was still segregation and all that stuff, if a person who was white wanted to date a black, if a white man wanted to date a black girl, he would be called and excuse the language, a nigger lover. But that's what he would be called. Because at that time in history, it was not socially acceptable to be with any person of color, and that's because how society thought. So now, fast forward in this day and age, I feel like we are the 1950s colored girl. It's not socially acceptable for a heterosexual cisgender male to date a trans woman openly and it not being a problem from society. Because back then, the white man can lose his job for dating a woman of color. He could lose his family. He can lose his friends. He can lose his livelihood, his retirement, everything he's worked hard for. He could lose simply because he wants to be in love. Everything is not supposed to be just because of what you want. It's what you need. You have to look forward for. So if a man feels like he don't need to be open to be able to date a trans woman, no one should ever force him, because at the end of the day, he should have to think about his retirement. He needs would not at that point where it's socially acceptable. That's why it's a blessing when a person who is trans can find true love, even if it's within their own community. So, and that's just touching base how I personally feel with someone having to just be okay with coming out as trans. I mean, dating someone who's transgender. Now, on the topic of being the chaser and the chasee, oh my God, I know a lot of my sisters are going to hate me for this, but girl, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't.
That's it.
I don't see nothing wrong with the motherfucking being a chaser. Bitch, we encourage every day, we encourage people to chase after their dreams. Bitch, you go after what you want. And if a man who likes if a cisgender man who likes cisgender women, bitch, if that motherfucker can run around and chase these hoes because that is what he likes, then so what if a man goes after what he wants and it just so happened to be a trans woman? I look at it like this. The trans women should never complain about the chasers, honey. The chasers are not the problem, honey. The chasers are not the problem. It's the females settling for the chasers. They are letting these men pedal through, bitch. These trans women give these men too much motherfucking power over everything. I don't even know what's wrong with the trans community sometimes. Girl, pour me a drink. Why you at it, boo? Now, the reason I just don't, I just, it's so funny to me when people are saying, oh, girl, he's a chaser, he's a chaser, he's a chaser. I'm like, bitch, that's simply because he ain't find the bitch to make him want to stop. There's something wrong with y'all, not him. He's supposed to go after what he wants. If he hasn't found that one that could change it all, bitch, he should continue going until he finds that one, because that one is out there. That one is out there. So it's nothing
By
wrong
the time
with
you
him
get to that
being.
one, get you full of diseases. And that's by the time he gets to that one, he full of diseases. Girl, and that's
But
the
you
thing.
know
Not
what? But you know what? He's full of diseases, but from who?
oh,
Because globally, trans women are 50% more likely to have HIV than the general
so no,
population.
that's what I'm saying. So that's the reality. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Oh, and I'm glad, like, you know, first and foremost, you know, I'm so excited that you did decide to pop in. Because definitely, like, you know, in regards, the reason why we having this conversation topic, because chaser, all of these terminologies we use within our community has always been deemed in such a negative thing, right? When we talk about chasers, it's always in this negative light. When we talk about these things, DL guys, it's always in these negative lights. And I said it before prior to it. I'm like, you know, a lot of times these guys let us know up front what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If they ain't fucking with it in broad daylight, they're gonna let you know, look, bitch, and if you so decide to still pursue that, and then like I said, a lot of the conflict becomes is that these guys let you know that, look, I don't mind fucking with you, but it's on these terms, right? Y'all fuck around, y'all been fucking around for a while, you get feelings for this nigga. Now you feel like you that one, right? You don't feel like I'm the one that's gonna change his whole. Then when you realize that he's not ready to come out or be open, then now you feel some type of way. And so we've seen girls even out these men, right? Celebrity or not, but just put these men business out there. There are burn pages on social media where girls intentionally upload messages and guys' photos and things just to out them, right? And so I tell people all the time, that's when you start to kind of might as well go ahead and kind of sign your own death certificate, because the retaliation that a lot of these men come back with by doing that is either one, you find yourself hurt or murdered.
Yeah. And it's simply because to me, I look at those and those ain't nothing but bum bitches. Honey, if you gotta go run and kiss and tell because the boy done broke your heart and now you want to out him out of it, honey, you just let everybody know that's the best you can get. That's the best you can get. And you are hurt that bad that this motherfucker decided not to be with you. And even the whole point with the DL thing, baby, I don't understand why people give people so much more control than they need. Girl, this is all it took. It took one time that I fell into that situation, because I hear it all the time from my sisters. How someone says, here, let me put this phone thing up right here. How someone turns around and say, oh, well,
Oh no, Miss Brazil, no, it was just because baby, Miss Brazil was getting set up to get comfy, and Miss Brazil was about to get ready to let the kids in on a secret.
Yeah.
And see, that was the thing.
I'm
See, but while Miss Brazil is gathering her things back, how you doing, beautiful?
Good.
I'm trying to bring it back, but while I bring it back, Miss L.
What, you gotta bring Brazil back.
How y'all doing?
L.
I think when we just kind of was talking about like people getting exposed and stuff like that, I really find that most trans
okay.
expose somebody, and I don't want, what I mean, to be, victim blaming or whatever everybody's situations are, just those going through.
Well, look,
And
sis, mute your mic.
I follow all the pages and the celebrity stories and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, we follow that, but I think that on average, most girls would be too scared to do something like that. And that is also not necessarily necessary, like them specific people, relationships, connections. Like, if you was messing with somebody and they was only after you or willing to do something like that on a superficial way, then that was that person that you was dealing with, or that man or that situation was dealing with. But when we talk about the gay or the trans panic defense, usually is debunked. And like, for instance, just myself, I have always, the whole time I ever been trans, I make a motherfucker, like, if you meet me online, if you meet me in person, I really might just tell you right at that moment, even though that may by itself not be that safe. That's not really something that people, like, we really tell people to do. But I do it, and I find that as long as, like, the nigga not in front of, like, other people or something like that, I've never once had a guy get mad of me telling them right on the spot, other than of them being in front of, like, some other people. And then online, I make them say that they know to me in a message, because you not gonna never go say that you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it did come to that, they know that they told me that it was that, whatever the case was. And I've definitely had situations where people was mad, or where people, you know what I mean, situations did get heated or whatever. But regardless, when we talk about that, the gay and trans panic defense, and people try to say, like, that's the reason why trans women specifically are getting murdered, that's not true, because a lot of times people know. And then only a motherfucker, this is what I really think. Okay, God made me go completely away from whatever I was going to say before. Okay, but anyway, first of all, most of the times the dudes that be really, really paranoid, to me, in my opinion, they already had some type of exposure before. The times that I've been caught up with dudes before, it's like when I was younger, particularly, the bitches was like, I knew. The bitches was like, I already seen him watching porn, or I already seen him cheating in some other type of fashion. I really think that people who cheat and people who two-time and stuff like that, you know what I mean, that's really the issue and the problem, as far as the versus between, like, cis women and trans women. Like, it's the niggas' fault, and they two-time it. You don't have to be doing that. You could be single, and that's anybody, any situation. If you don't want to be if you can't handle a monogamous relationship or a situation, then you need to be single, period. You know what I mean? There's no reason for you to be lying, period. And I really feel like, also on the flip side, like, we make it so much pressure and such a big deal for people to date trans women, but
when people, particularly niggas, like nigga to nigga, like when they see each other doing it, they'll kind of dap the nigga up a little bit because they low key wish that they was the one that was brave enough to do it too. Like I feel like it's all a hype and it's all like all that. But when we talk about murders and stuff like that, trans women are women, we're black women, and we have a higher rate of getting murdered by our partners, period. And the last thing is everybody gets chaser. Everybody wants some trans pussy. I'm just gonna say that. Everybody do. That's the gag of the part that they really don't talk about. Is everybody want us and is attracted to us though. And it's very confusing. It's very like, where is it ever someone just for me, or that is not a fetish, or that is not on some superficial level? And then the niggas in the relationships, why? Like, I feel like niggas be the ones. They be the ones pressuring bitches to even have relationships. Why would we even be in a situation where somebody got to be dishonest? If, baby, if you just want to, if we just having fun, baby, we just having fun.
Because let them call you in that time frame and you don't answer, baby. They in their feelings. Bitch, they ready to come kick your door in. Bitch, figure out who else in there. Who you got in here?
But if we just like seriously, like they want relationship privileges without stepping into relationship. There we go, every direction. I'm sorry.
But no, see, and that's the reality is, and Troy, who was on previously, mentioned it, and I've had the opportunity to meet guys, like black men, that lived in the hood, that was, niggas knew what they fucked with, right? But the niggas respected them too. Niggas knew not to play with them because niggas also knew that he'll bust their motherfucking shit too.
That like us.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not statistically possible for it to be the amount of hate and the amount of stuff that we like perpetrated. You know what I mean?
And that's
like,
another thing with this community and with the girls that are being murdered, right?
Yeah.
We were not there in their last hours to be able to say, in fact, that the guy that they were dealing with was X, Y, and Z, right? Because we weren't there. It's all speculations in regards to what our experience are with a lot of black men. But also, we know that sometimes I encourage girls to also date outside of what your norm, right? If you know that maybe this is your experience with black men and these are the type of black men that you necessarily have, maybe try to elevate your setting where you place yourself in other settings where you get exposure to different kind of men, other than the ones that you know. Because sometimes we only deal with what we have access to. So if we live in the hood, most of us deal with hood niggas. If we live in the
even some of them that don't live in the hood. Yeah, I've listened to girls describe some of the guys they pull, and it's like they brag about these guys, and I'm just like,
I feel like that's the same. And
bitch, that nigga still make his noodles and his leftover hot dog water.
They'll try even less hard because they feel like they got more to lose.
But they just be grilled out and tattooed, and then they go for all that, and I'm just like, girl, why? Like, if I go into a shopping center, honey, I'm not trying to have the store folks look at me because they think I'm trying to steal, honey. I need them to look at me to wondering, what is she trying to purchase, and shall we go help her now or later? That's what I need to walk around with.
Brother Brazil, no. Brother Brazil said, baby, hold on.
I'm not walking around that. And, you know, I love my first ex-husband for the time he spent in my life. But I told him one of the issues we were going to have is when I got with him being trans, I had to learn how to be a wife and a girlfriend before I even had an opportunity to learn how to be trans, because I met him while I was still in recovery. I was one of the few girls that jumped into a relationship with someone who was younger and looked nice, you know, purchased a home, well, got married, purchased a home, not one, but two. Like I did it well. But one of the things, even though I was older, just only by 3 years, I told him, one thing I did not want to do, and I'm 40 now, one thing I told myself I will never do is being a woman or being a person, woman or not, being in a relationship with someone going into my 40s, still having to tell someone to pull up their pants. Like that, I can't do that. I admit that's not, some girls think that shit's cute. That's not for me. Like, homie, you have a belt on. Why are you not using it for to its fully function? That's like a hoe having a wig on and having the shit way back here. Like, Miss Thing, why is you not wearing it correctly? You know? So I'm like, I just don't have time for that. Being in your 20s, that shit's cute and whatever. In your 30s, you still in your 20s, but you just know more in life. You should be able to make better decisions now. But I still feel like your 30s is a good part of your 20s. You just are mature at it. You kind of figure this shit out a little bit more. So to me, I didn't even mind dealing with it in my 30s so much. But I will never ask a man to change who he is if it's not going to provide himself growth and progression. That's why I'm okay with every one of my exes, because I say these motherfuckers left in better condition than I found them. So to me, I can only push a man so high, because any man gets with me, honey, I'm going to make that man think that he can move mountains if he believed he could, and I'm going to be there supporting him every step of the way. So to me, I can only push a man to his greatest potential, but your relationship will still only be as strong as its weakest link. When people say, well, no, if you're here, he's there, then y'all can come in the middle. No, because if you're here and he's there, that is as strong as your relationship. Because if he can get to halfway, he should have been there. So if that is as strong as his bitch, if that's your weakest link in your relationship, or maybe it's you're the weakest link, then maybe you need to have your partner come down and to help get you where y'all can get to your greatest potential. Some people need that help and that support and that team. I tell people, I don't want a motherfucking teammate. I need a team player. A teammate can sit his ass on the bench. I need somebody who's going to be in the game with me. So to me, I need someone who's going to play with me, someone who wants to grow with me, who wants progression, who wants more. I don't give a fuck about a nigga who can turn around and sit me down and think he's gonna give me a cute little 5-year plan that he done paid for himself to try to win me over. Fuck a 5-year plan. Let's talk about our retirement, homie. Let's talk about how we gonna get there sooner than later. And baby, how are we going to make sure that we both grow as a team? Because if I go to the gym and you don't like going to the gym, it's cool. We need to go for walks. We need to make sure we are both. I don't mind being with somebody who's big, but you gonna be healthy. I don't mind. I've dated people before who had HIV. I'm HIV negative, STD, STI, everything negative. But to me, if I dated, and I have more than once dated someone who was HIV positive, and I told them, it is what it is. My mother had, and I don't really go all out like this, but my mother had HIV. Back in the 80s, they thought HIV was a disease, that it was a gay man's disease. Well, she got it because she was sharing needles, doing drugs and all that stuff back then. And they didn't know. So when I was born deaf, and they had me in the hospital for a very long time because they thought her blood was coming through mine. So I was going to be born with HIV as well, but it didn't happen. It just affected my health and certain other issues in certain ways. So I grew up looking at me, still not being raised by my mother, because unfortunately back then everyone was still naive and still ignorant to this disease. So it was like, oh, don't eat off the spoon with her. Don't kiss her. If you kiss her on the cheek, and then still go brush your teeth and wash your lips. Like it was, but it wasn't to be like to make her feel ugly. It's just everyone was still ignorant at the time, And so I grew up, my brother and I, we grew up with my grandparents. Um, and with that being said, I always looked at my mother as, just because she fell in a situation to where she had HIV, it still doesn't mean that she never deserves love again. So to me, I walked into this with the open mind of, I'll be able to date someone who's HIV positive. However, if I decide to go this route, I need them to make sure that they're taking good care of themselves, because you cannot truly love you and say, no, you can't truly love me if you don't show me that you love yourself. Help me make my life easier for me to be with you, because I love you and I want to, and I want to share my life. I can go be with anybody I want, and it's an easier pill for anybody to swallow, taking me over a girl who has HIV. But if she's taking good care of herself, I tell people it doesn't matter if you're HIV positive or not. It's not a death sentence anymore. Yeah, if you get tested so you know how to take care of yourself and your partners after that. So I always say, Miss Thing, it is what it is. But yeah, go ahead, because I'm about to go off
No,
into a whole little.
you said everything you said was truthful.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, that's your experience, and that's what I love about having these discussions. Because, like I told Zamira, we can
Thank
all come from have our
you.
different experiences and points of views, as long as we all still have that mutual respect and receiving those things. Because I have a whole thing about my personal own thing around chasers and all this other stuff. Personally, I'm married now, but if I was on the market and I dealt, and this is how I moved when I was, not in relationships. When I dealt with, like I said, we grown. We're gonna deal with what we want to deal with, whatever. I'm cool with if it's just a sex thing, because I ain't looking for no relation. I know where I'm at with you, right? When we have this conversation, I know what it. So if it's just gonna boil down to sex and I want to pursue that, then cool. But at the same time, I tell guys, I don't want to be your first. I don't want
Oh,
to be your first.
at
I
all.
want to be your first. Bitch, I need you to go fuck 12,
Bitch,
14, 15 other
so I
bitches.
can let you know these hoes been doing it wrong. Huh.
Baby, I need you to get some a little experience under your belt. I need you to get some comfortability there. And then come holler at me. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't give a fuck if you fucked all 12 of them bitches raw. Don't mean that you may fuck me raw. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm gonna need for you to get in your bag and get what you comfortable with, what you like, what you don't like. I'm just not trying to be your teacher in the situation. I ain't trying to be your first.
Oh, I don't mind being the first, honey. I can't think of it. Bitch, I can't think of a better teacher. Because, bitch, I tell all the boys, honey, I'm known for being that girl that curl toes the other motherfucking way.
Yeah, but see, when it comes down to it, baby, I need you to know what you're doing, baby. When you sometimes, because I let the boys know, look, what you into? Okay, well, this is what I'm into. Now, if you cool, like, baby, because when it comes down to head, baby, I don't want to receive no teeth. I don't want to have to teach you how to cuff your lips and all these other things. I need you to know how to bob and weave on them apples. That's what I'm gonna need for you to know how to do. I'm gonna need you to be at an experience at a Halloween party bobbing and weaving on that for the apples. That's what I'm gonna need. What you
They
say?
already know how to do that.
Oh, but see, that's what I'm saying. So most having the gag when they always tell you.
I feel like when it is a dude real first time, I feel like a lot of dudes say that, but when it really is, you can tell. Like, you can tell when it is. Like, you almost wouldn't even need to tell me that. You know what I mean? To me. Like, I feel like a dude that's saying it or trying to say it like, ooh, like, again, that's just like I said, like, the dudes that's really paranoid about being exposed, that's because they already did something sus. They already did something suspect, or people already found out from some other way, or from years ago, or from whatever relationships they had before, and that's why they're paranoid. You know what I mean? Somebody that ain't had that trauma or that ain't went through that wouldn't feel ready to take it to the extreme, like hurting somebody over it. You get what I'm saying? But a dude that says they first time, like, it'll just be the nuances. Like, you will be able to tell, you know what I mean? Versus somebody just like trying to promote that it's their first time to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they love trying to make you feel special, huh? Like you was just V1.
I get it, though, because I do the same thing. I get it. And you know what? I put it like this. This is so weird. I'm in a strange situation, girl. It's
See, I
like
love Brazil. I love Mother said, but look, I do the same thing though.
I'm like, this is so strange to me. It's like I don't even like the whole thing with chasing. The trans girls talk so bad about guys chasing, but these hoes do the same motherfucking thing. they brag about pulling straight niggas. So I'm like, hoes, y'all chasers too, ho.
Yo, dick chasing.
Yeah, y'all the fuck y'all doing over here? Every goddamn, I promise you, there is not gonna be 1 week I can go by without seeing on my news feed somebody bird watching. And I never got what it meant until people just started to turn around posting pictures of these random men, and I seen their dick print, you know. But that's what I known it was to be called. So when they just said bird watching, bitch, I'm over here when somebody taking a picture of this man at the airport, of it, bitch, I'm looking in, zooming in on the window in the background, girl, like, what the fuck bird you see? So bitch, I'm telling you, it just went over my head because I was like, why does everyone keep saying bird watching? And then I was just like, dun, dun, dun. Okay, I get it, you know, but that's chasing activity. They doing the same damn thing. Bitch, if anything, they're doing shit
Do,
worse than
do
these
y'all feel
chasers
like
is
that?
doing.
Like
Because
I
these chasers
feel
ain't even making it public like that. These girls is
like
acting like the
that
punks do.
the
That's punk activity.
thrill from dating a straight guy.
Huh?
Do y'all feel like it's a thrill from dating a straight guy? I don't feel like that. I feel
No,
like
bitch, I don't even like straight men no more. That's what all kind of comes at me, of course. But to
I
me, before
feel
I transitioned, I was trade.
that it's a thrill, but not because they're straight. It's more like because of like whatever level of hoodness it is. You get what I'm saying? Like dating a dude that's a thug versus dating a dude that's not. I do think maybe there is on that level some type of thrill, but just because the nigga straight, that don't get
In
me.
your 20s, maybe.
But I'm just saying, like, just because they call themselves straight, one what they call
Nah.
that, you know, for real, what they call
Even when I dated cis guys, they never were the trade. None of them were the trade.
I'm
They were
whenever
borderline.
necessarily,
They were borderline butch queens in a sense, but no, none of them never were the trade. Like, I never dated the trade. Um,
I think they like the thrill.
Bitch, I'm not gonna lie, bitch. I thought when I hear girls talk, I mean, I'll throw out and say some word like that, but girl, it's really not. Girl, it's really not that what it is. But when girls talk about having trade, I'm just like, bitch, we still do that. I thought like gay boys had trade, and I thought the girls like he's not trade if he's after a girl. You know, like how how is trans women women, but you call a man that's wanting to be with a trans woman trade when he should just simply be a man after you if you consider yourself a woman? How is he trade?
But that's our word. The gay boys took that word.
Girl, no, girl. That's when they used to put girl. That's the little butch queens. They used to get all dolled up, girl, and play woman back in the day, bitch, because they didn't have access to get on hormones and do all that stuff. So it was the little cross dressers that pulled trade. So that was a little punk thing. The girls who was able to do that, honey, they was dealing with the men who could entertain them. So they didn't have to deal with trade, girl. They were dealing with the professionals. It was the other ones that was playing with the trades. And then it just when the girls, that's how we all start. And then when the girls started getting pumped, and when the girls started looking how they wanted to and started doing it, it's just something that we kind of just all trade. And I'm like, girl, why are we still doing trade? Like, bitch, should we want more in life? Like, trade ain't gonna get you no home. That's why when a man want to turn around and ask me to, and men ask me all the time, they would like to take me out for a drink. And I would say,
Like,
sure, what time during lunch tomorrow? Because I never do dinner with men. If a man wants to be seen with the bitch, you're not taking me to the movies. You're going to have me out in public. That's for one. And we're going to do lunchtime for two reasons. It benefits me and it benefits you. It benefits me because I do not want a man to think that he's going to take me to dinner. When I think about dinner, I think it sounds a little bit more romantic. Bitch, I'm not about to put on no motherfucking cosmetics for a man that might not be worth it. So I'm not gonna do dinner with no man because I'm not gonna dress up. We can do lunch because I can do lunch with my girlfriends. I can do lunch with my homies. I can do lunch with my neighbors. That's casual. You can take me to lunch and we can be seen somewhere in public during broad daylight, homie. And what ends up happening. If I enjoy our company, if I enjoy my company, lunchtime provides me to make a decision if we're both still available, that we can still both continue the good time we're having. Whether now, to me, I never take nobody to no bedroom type situation. So I don't mind going to a park or, oh my God, let's go antique shopping, because it's more talking and getting to know someone. And it actually feels good to know that, not too many trans women have this experience of being seen with a man in public during broad daylight, because this bitch rather go to dinner.
Big Brother Brazil said, let's go to the antique shop and look at these $60,000 chandeliers.
Because I'm not walking outside, it's too hot. We need to walk somewhere and continue this. But you know what? At dinner time, if I'm on a date and it's dinner, one, I already feel like I have cosmetics on. Because, honey, I always say, honey, I don't play in makeup, bitch. I use cosmetics. Bitch, cosmetics is how cosmetics mean you know how to blend. Makeup is what you give children to play in when they're 7 years and 8 years old. Honey, she get the makeup kits. But I fucks with cosmetics. Not every man is going to be worth my cosmetics. And then on top of that, it gives me self-control over how far I take it. Because, of course, if I'm feeling a guy, bitch, I might want to continue it just past just dinner. Especially, bitch, if I'm feeling my oats. Bitch, if she's dolled up, bitch, you already know. All my trans sisters know, bitch, when we put on those cosmetics, and we just like, oh, it takes forever. Bitch, once we put on that lash, bitch, and we step back, we're like, okay, bitch, we see why we did all this. That's all it takes sometimes. And when we put on that lash, and we're in the company of a handsome gentleman, bitch, sometimes we do not make the best decisions for ourselves for the long run because we're feeling cut. And bitch, it's like, why wouldn't we want a man to have us at our best? Because, bitch, we know good and goddamn well, bitch, we ain't gonna wake up like this in the morning. So let's just go ahead and just get our little jush, set up the little cameras, for those who might want to, have a little home video gig going on, whatever the case may be. Bitch, you're done up, why not? So, it prevents all that from happening. It prevents me from just sharing my body with someone that I probably barely even know. And like, I don't want to give a man the impression that something's going to happen after dinner. Like, homie, just because you purchased a meal for me, that does not give you accessibility to my body. And as much as I be wanting it sometimes, oh, bitch, I'm single, bitch, and I don't think you understand. Woo! Bitch, I couldn't look like this and be in my 20s. Oh, baby, I could not, bitch, I would be out of control. But bitch, since I'm 40, I go in this. I'm not saying I can't have fun, but I still look at myself as, girl, you can't be making decisions like you would if you was in your 20s. I'm like, because at this point, you're more valuable because you have more wisdom, you have more experience, and you don't want to be that girl that spreads yourself thinly because it keeps you more valuable. All trans women were all jewels, but why be the jewels that you can play with on the turning wheel when you can be that jewel behind the glass because she's more valuable? You need an associate to come and help you because that one right there I would like to pick. Can I see that one, ma'am? Honey, when she pull out the tray, bitch, and even before handing it, bitch, she polishes it off, bitch, to hand it to you. Bitch, I'm that jewel, not the one on the turning table, bitch. What to me? That's how I look at it. So I'm like, oh, girl, I'll be wanting to hook up left and right. I promise you,
Baby, I hope you are coming. Baby, we need a book. We need a book. We need a book. The girls is getting it. See, the girls is getting it free, right? See, y'all not gonna get it free. Cause this right here, what Mother is dropping, this comes with wisdom. This comes with being in a space of seasoned. I've been around the block. I've seen a few things. I've experienced my fair share. But at this point, it's all about going back to really knowing your worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what Dale has preached tonight is just really ultimately knowing your worth. Knowing, bitch, I love that. I love the concept of going out for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch, I love the idea, bitch. Yes, bitch, let's go to this antique shop, bitch, and look at this $85,000 chandelier, bitch.
I mean, it's window shopping.
I love the idea of
And then you know
being.
what? That also gives a girl an idea of what she's dealing with, because then she gets to see his style without even having to go into his home. Because especially being a single girl, no man just needs to be coming in and out of a woman's home like that. You know, it's just, it is what it is. I understand where, bitch, who doesn't want to feel their cunt and all that, Miss Thing? If you got it, you got it. I feel like no matter how passable you are, bitch, all of us is clockable to some degree.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Bitch,
girl.
all of us, Miss Thing. Bitch, all of us. And I'm like, and we need to stop giving these men so much control over their identity and start reclaiming our own. When men, bitch, I hear stories about like this all the time when girls deal with discreet or down low men. My thing is on this share, I can be with someone who's discreet. That's easy. Being with someone discreet, I can't be with someone who's DL. DL, that means you're down low. Down low, that means you're ashamed of who you are. I can't be with someone who is down low and embarrassed or ashamed or afraid of being who they are. I cannot be with someone down low. Discreet, I can do. Because discreet just means you do not want people in your business. You like your privacy. Sometimes in life we should have privacy. Everything's not supposed to be out there. So to me, if a man is discreet, whether it's because of his job, his livelihood, and I'm not gonna pretend, girl. Like I've talked to people in the industry, like I've dated someone in the sports industry, someone in the music industry before I moved to Texas from East Hollywood, California. So to me, I can do discreet because I understand if this person wanted to ever be seen with me on the red carpet this day and age, it's not going to be socially acceptable. We've already had conversations. It's gonna affect their endorsements, their fan base. It's gonna affect everything, everything, just for basically wanting to be outed because he wanted to be seen with me in public. Like, I get it. I can be with someone who's discreet, but as far as someone who's down low, I don't have time for that. If you don't want people in your business, hey sis, if you don't want people in your business, that's one thing. But when girls be running around here making it seem like, oh, it's a thing, oh girl, this man's discreet or this man's DL and like bragging about it almost, I'm like, girl, what? Like, so one time I hear many stories. To backtrack, it never happened to me except for one time when a man wanted to let me know he needed to be discreet. It came ugly. And I flipped that shit back around. And this is what I'm trying to tell my trans sisters, bitch. Do not let these men have that much power over you, bitch. Remember, you are the jewel. He got lucky. He can go find cisgender any motherfucking well, bitch. It's not every day, bitch, you're gonna run into a trans woman in the grocery store, bitch, going to check the mailbox, bitch, tripping down the street, walking your dog, bitch, you're gonna see these hoes with born vaginas every fucking wow. But you ain't gonna run into us everywhere, bitch. We're little jewels, hidden jewels, bitch. Look, think, bitch. What, bitch? You gotta find us. So, bitch, don't let these men make it seem like they need to be discreet or they need to be. Bitch, you take control back of that word, like black people you did with the N word. Y'all take control and take power of these words. So when a man told me, and I flipped it back on him. He was like, oh, so do you mind if we kind of just, I'm not out there like that. And I was like, okay. okay. And he was like, so do you mind if we kind of just keep this, you know, between us? And I was like, I wasn't even upset. Like, I literally laughed because I thought, oh, this is what the girls are talking about? So I was like, oh, look at you being cute. And I told him that too. I said, look at you being cute and all. I was like, discreet, who knows you? Like, who knows who you are, homie? Like, you're giving yourself more credit than you deserve. I said, and you know what? You don't have to worry about me being discreet. The fact that you came at me like that, I love that you did, because you only assured me that you know how to be discreet. You need to make sure you stay discreet. You don't got to worry about me. I prefer you to be discreet, because what I don't need you to do, I don't need you running around to your homeboys bragging how you pulled a bitch out of your league. But that was real cute how you tried to flip this. That was real cute, homie. But nobody knows you. But good. Let's be discreet. So let's keep it that way.
That man's entire self-esteem was on the floor.
Bitch. That was the first time I ever heard some shit like, and I thought it was funny. I said, the girls talk. What?
Like, yeah, I completely agree with Mother Brazil. Like, I mean, like, discreet, like, okay, like, you want it to be between us. I'm sorry, but I'm not a fetish or a fantasy, so
I'll be somebody's fantasy though.
okay. But anyways, let me introduce myself to you. I am Mackenzie the Doll. Nice to meet you guys. I live all the way in Destin, Florida. I'm really honestly the only like white fish blonde Barbie trans woman that lives here in this area. All the others are probably like they're just now starting their transition, or they are cross dressers, or they are drag queens, or whatnot. But like me personally, my perspective, like Mother Brazil said, like, you want to go on a date? Okay, we'll go to lunch. Okay, we'll go do this. We'll go do that. But okay, I'm not gonna go to dinner with just someone that I don't know. And like, I'm a doll, and Brazil's a doll, and you're a doll, and you're a doll, and honey, and I'm sorry, but if you can't be seen in public with me, then I'm sorry, then you can't see me at all. You know? I mean, we identify as, what'd you say?
No, because somebody gagged when you called him a doll. I said he's a Ken doll.
Oh, he's the doll. He's the king doll. But you know what I mean? Like, I've had guys like say to me before, like, oh, can I come by? No, you can't come by. No, I'm not telling you where I live. I don't trust you, you know? I don't know you. And so it's just simple fact that, I mean, I'm not, like, honestly, and like, I'm very like weird about people that, like, men that I don't know, that, I'll be out in public, and I'll be like at Walmart, or I'll be like at the mall, or girl, and all I'll be hearing is this like chirping. And I'm like, I turn around and I'm like, okay, excuse me, like, what do you, I mean, thank you. I know I'm beautiful, and you can, chirp with me while you have your girlfriend and, the baby in the stroller, and then the mother next to it, and then the grandfather next to it, but I'm sorry, but it looks like you're married and you have a family. So, but yeah, I'm very, very, like, I don't know, like, some people just, I guess, think that just because like we're trans, or non-binary, or whatnot, that, you know, we are like some sort of like fetish or fantasy or something like that. And I'm totally like, that completely like throws me off. Like, so for example, I'll give you an example. So this guy that I talked to like a while back, he like hit me up on the grind, and I'm like, okay, so, you know, what's the tea, whatnot, how are you, you know? And, you know, we started talking or whatnot, and I don't know, it was just weird. Like, he like, of course, like wanted to like, you know, come over and like hang out on his lunch break. And I'm like, no, you know, I don't do that, and that's just tacky. And then he proceeds to tell me, oh, well, I've never been with or spoken to or hung out with a trans woman before, so you would be my first. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry, honey, but I'm not a fetish or a fantasy, and if you're looking for that, then you're looking in the wrong place. And so I don't know, it was just like a whole, like, the whole thing was like weird. And I don't know, it just made me feel really uncomfortable. And I'm kind of glad like he blocked my number, because I mean, I read him and let him have it. So
Yeah, and I think we have those experiences a lot. Like we could be minding our business, right?
yeah.
And anytime when I'm out and about and I reach a guy or I come across a guy's path who is obviously interested in me but trying to pursue me discreetly, you know, it comes with those eyes and hoping to lock eyes with them, or they get close enough and make certain advancements and this, that, and the third. But I totally tend to ignore them. You know, I tend to, like, I didn't hear them, I didn't see them, because oftentimes, like Brazil was saying, it's not every day you walk in. And granted, even as progressed we are as a community, if you are in Walmart, and I'm not saying that you can know, because everybody will argue, oh, you don't know if everybody's trans or not. But bitch, we know our people. We know our people.
Here we, like Brazil says, oh, here we go.
So, but when we out and about, like, girl, if you in a shoe store, if you at Walmart, if you at 9 out of 10, you probably be the only, if not maybe one other bitch across the store somewhere. But you ain't running down every other aisle and running into your sister and be like, oh, hey, girl. Mm-mm. It's not happening. So the reality is that, yes, we are definitely those jewels spread out amongst community. And whether we know, it's not even about passability or being the prettiest or this, that, and the third, because if a guy in certain areas, you know what I'm saying, in certain rural places and stuff like that, like, guys are going to try to access what's accessible, you know, and so that's just what it is, you know. We see this a lot when we are in spaces where guys will try to, you know, discreetly pass their numbers to us, or, you know, let us know that they're interested and this, that, and the third. And yeah, we all know that also well, that them head nods, those, you know.
And
but
like,
as a, where you say you're from? In Florida.
And
yeah, I live in Destin, Florida.
I just want to thank you for coming on, because you're actually the first, how can I say it? So it's
white trans woman.
Right?
Because no, you know, when she was hesitant, when she was giving her thing, I thought she was about to say, because I'm a black trans woman. I was about to say, oh, black bitch, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the first one.
She said, I'm a white girl and I watch.
That's it. I'm here. But no. Yeah, definitely, it's good to have you on this, because we have you here. Those guys that mostly approach you, are they white guys, or they're black guys, or they're a mix of guys?
So for example, tonight I was out to dinner with my family, and we were at, you know, a really like expensive like dinner, and the server was a black male. Well, he couldn't stop staring at me, and it was making me feel like he was like staring me down. And I don't know. And then like when he was like our server, and he would like come over and be like, "Ma'am, do you need anything? Ma'am, can I get you this? Ma'am, can I get you that?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good, thank you." And he was just like locking his eyes on me. And so it's a mixture. It's like white guys, it's like black guys, it's mixed guys. I mean, it's
So
just
do you find it more? So in within the white community, do you find it to be maybe more acceptable for white men to date trans women?
So the area that I live in, like I live in like a tourist city, a tourist town. And so a lot of these men that like come through here and that like they're either like here on business or they're visiting or they're here with their families or they're married or they have girlfriends and they like just like I don't know, like it's like they're trying to like live their fantasy out. Well, honey, I'm not a fantasy or a fetish, so I'm sorry to tell you, but I mean, I've been like on dates and stuff with guys like that are like visiting, but I try not to like go on dates with guys that are visiting because I know like I'll never hear from them again, never see them again because they're just visiting, you know? But here in this area, it's a mixture. Like, I mean, it's a mixture. I could be out at the beach and Brazil left. She said, "Bye, gotta go."
It could be social. It could be the Facebook just dropping,
but yeah, so I could be out at the beach and a guy can walk by and look at me. I'm laying on my blanket or whatever. And it's just, I don't know, it's just weird. But it's a mixture.
So the white men that approach you, do they come off like we only can do this privately, or are they more open to being in public with you and going to dinner and have drinks, and like what is the experience like as a white trans woman?
Privately.
Privately. So they're still dealing with even in that.
Yeah. Yeah, like privately. And I'm like, girl, I'm sorry, but I don't know who you think you're trying to talk to, but no, I'm not seeing you privately.
Like, for example, as an escort, even as a former sex worker, like, when I had white men who were clients, it was just a different experience with them than like dealing with, my black men. Even in regards to them wanting to take you out and going to dinner and doing and even shopping and all those other things that come along with it. They seem to be very more comfortable with being out with trans women than a lot of the black guys, right? Like they don't mind maybe dropping a few extra $100 so you can go buy that purse, but I'm not about to bring you to Louis Vuitton and have you pick out and so
I'll go to Louis Vuitton and pick out a purse right now. And you'll come with me and swipe that card.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I see that. Mm-hmm. I was eyeing that. I was like, is that Gucci?
Yes. So we are well past our time slot. But tonight has definitely been an amazing conversation. I would like to thank everyone who have came on and shared and contributed to this conversation. Like I said, Brazil definitely drops the motherfucking bomb on the kids, and I really appreciate her and her point of view and her and her wisdom. Because
she's an amazing individual and she's very wise in what she says. And and like Brazil and I, like we like have, we've connected and stuff like that, and we talk like, whenever she has time, and and we always talk about like different things and different topics, and she's very wise, and she's even taught me like a lot. Like she's even taught me, like she's had to get me out of some situations before. Let me just put it like that.
Yeah, Brazil definitely seems like my kind of girl.
Absolutely.
Just overall,
She
just down to
is,
earth,
honey.
very
She is.
straightforward. And yeah, don't cut no corners. Like, and I love that, she was willing to say some things that I wasn't even willing to say. Right. She definitely gave us a lot to sit with, to think about. And yeah. Thank you, Jen, too, for coming on.
Anytime. You know.
Conversation. Tonight has been one that we know that this discussion will continue at some point.
Yeah, it got to because
It never ends. It's a discussion that will never end. It's just like lamb chop. It'll never end.
Yeah, and thank you to Troy for coming on and as a cis man, bringing his point of view and perspective in, and encouraging other Black men to step out in their truth and be comfortable in their skin. I think that's something that we don't necessarily hear a lot within our community spaces. And I know he said he has his YouTube and all these other things. So definitely for folks that are interested, follow Troy and, check out his YouTube and his content and stuff like that and see all the things that he's up to. But tonight has definitely been a conversation I truly enjoyed. I enjoy listening to everyone's point of view. And yeah.
Okay. I just want to say next week, for those who are on right now, who, if you watch the end, you get to know the next topic for next week's live, and it will be colorism in the trans community. I think it's time to have that talk because, like I said, we got a lot of girls out here getting those bleach pills and everything like that, and it's time to have that conversation.
Yes. Jen, is there anything, any last words you would like to take us out with?
I would say this. At the end of the day, you know who you are. You know who you love. Stay true to it. Some is harder for others, but at the end of the day, be real with yourself. As long as you're able to do that, it's not always going to be a fairy tale, but it will end better. Let's just say that.
Yes. And I will leave my ladies with, individuals with, is definitely know your worth. Know your worth. And to the Black men, to our brothers who are struggling, understand that it's okay to be you. It's okay to love who you love. It's okay to like what you like. And I encourage you to do the work you need to do so you can free yourself, so you can walk authentically and live the life that was ordained for you. And be happy.
Tune in tomorrow for Each One Teach One, where we will be discussing the ballroom scene. So all my people out there that are listening, get your friends who know their house mothers, house fathers, legendaries, icons. At this point, I even take the kids that's out there that's new, doing voguing or whatever. Come on and get this interview and get your tens. Let's see who's brave enough to walk. What talk? The interview.
Yes. And until next time, y'all, like I said, same grace you extend to yourself, same grace you extend to others, extend to yourself. And we'll catch y'all here tomorrow, same time.
Blessings, y'all.